Hello everyone, hopefully you're doing well. We're back doing the tech talk, which is a way where we can kind of chat about stuff. So if you have any thoughts that you want in the next one, make sure to stick it in the comments section of the YouTube video. We also do live stream these. So it's, there and kicking and simple as really. It's been a pretty busy week doing all of the good old event stuff, so hopefully this week, or well, next week will be a bit easier. Gonna play a bunch of different stuff and all of that, so shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully the event has treated you guys well, and then we can kind of go from there. So let's have a decent time and kind of go into it. Starting off with the first one. We are going to play some naval in the background, just because it's much easier to play while talking about stuff, so why not do that, basically, and have a pretty decent time. We start off with a paragraph. Let's see what it is. So we have Josh Sullivan 8527. Hiya Tech. Hi. I was watching one of your recent videos and you commented on how you weren't the biggest fan of the newer weather mechanics. I kind of like the weather changes, it's realistic, and I like how it's a coin toss for whether or not Cass will have an easier job or a difficult job. The wind definitely needs some work. I like the intense wind, but branches of the same tree all blowing in opposite directions needs to be fixed. But the community has been talking about ground-only games, and I think this is the easiest way to do that without dividing up the community into separate game modes. And the best part is it's realistic because war doesn't stop due to bad weather, but having air support absolutely does. I mean, I suppose, I suppose, in a way, yes. That's definitely something that's true. War doesn't stop, but what would stop is a massive tank battle, because obviously people would like the support during the thing. When you think about certain operations, there was a lot of them that were delayed quite aggressively because of the fact the weather wasn't right. Normandy invasion, for example, the Battle of the Bulge or the Ardennes offensive, they also had to wait for specific cover. So the idea that weather, is something that isn't thought about and stuff kind of just happens as it goes around. I mean, to a point, yes, but also at the same time, stuff does get delayed because of the weather and what goes on. So I wouldn't necessarily say it is something that is historical or realistic. I don't think it was something that, or I don't think it's something we should look at anyway, like what is a realistic condition and what isn't a realistic condition, because War Thunder itself doesn't work the best when we try and take into account those things. The other one for me is the wind stuff with the trees. Yeah, that needs to be looked at. It's a little bit aggressive, or it's very aggressive. It's probably a better way of putting it. So I would like them to kind of just chill with that. And they did at least make one change, which lowered it, and I think they also made a bit of maybe a ghost change to limit it too. So hopefully that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So it should be pretty nice. The ground only stuff, yeah, I mean, the problem I have with using weather as kind of a balancing factor between ideas is the fact that people can get around it. So this is something that used to happen a lot back in the day with night battles and continues to happen now with the new weather effects. Depending on if you have specific graphic cards, like this one, right? Like I have an NVIDIA graphics card. I can add effects to the game, which make it so I can see stuff easier in the game. And that is something which has existed since basically NVIDIA filters came along. Now I know AMD can do similar things, I just don't know if they can do them in War Thunder. So what this basically means is you end up in a situation where you want everything to be fair in the game and you want everything to be right, but then you have these systems where, depending on what hardware people actually have access to, they are able to just completely crucify the people because they can either increase the sharpness to a ridiculous amount, they can completely change the color palette as well, they can just make it so all of those effects that are affecting everybody else don't affect them. And that's why I've always had an issue with this idea, right? Now, obviously it affects mechanics in the game. Like, it affects, like, AGMs, for example, and also, like, lock-on stuff, but it doesn't affect, like, any of the other things that, you know, you would want it to affect. So that's my general issue with it. I think since most people don't do that stuff, then, you know, that's not a huge issue. But as usual, once more people know about it, then it becomes a larger issue as it goes along, right? And that's kind of the problem. But right now, maybe it isn't too much of a problem for people. Like, so hopefully it's not, you know, forcing the game to be in a bad state or anything like that. But yeah, it's just something that at least goes through my head when I think about these things. So then we have definite. What does that say? Definant Teddison. Okay, I think that's right. Hi guys, hello. I have a question on gun marks. Ooh, I like gun marks. I like the idea of gun marks, I should say. Would you think it is better to have gun marks after having destroyed a certain amount of players, or wouldn't it be better to have gun marks reflecting the KD of your vehicle? So it doesn't show that you grind a lot, but that you're actually proficient at it? What are your thoughts? I don't see KD as something which kind of shows that you're proficient in a vehicle. Because, hey Special Donkey, nice to see you. Because, I mean, there are a ton of vehicles where I can literally play like a, well, let's just say a scumlord, right? Like, I can play in a way where my KD could easily be like 10 to 20 to 30 to 1 and not play properly, right? Because I could literally just sit there and just sit on like the side of a map and, you know, stay away from like all the caps, so not really caring if, you know, our team wins or not. Or I could just, you know, when it comes to aerialistic or something, whenever I get hounded in the mid tiers or the high tiers, I just go back to the airfield and then just play defense, right? Which is what a lot of people do. I know some people who literally, they create accounts in War Thunder, and if they die once in a vehicle, they create a new account. Like, you know, silly things like that, which is just kind of nuts when you think about it from an average person's perspective. But some people, literally, that's how they get their enjoyment out of the game, and it's just kind of nuts. So, for me, I think it is a good idea to base it around different things, so not one specific thing. And I'm pretty sure that's how like World of Tanks does it with gun marks. I just don't think it should be solely based around KD. The vehicles are not solely based around their KD. You know, when it comes to like working out whether they should be, you know, up-tiered or down-tiered or changed in BR. So whatever factors they use to determine whether a vehicle should go up or not, those factors should be taken into account for whoever's proficient in it, right? I think that would probably work the best. If it isn't the case and they decide to do other stuff with it, then, you know, c'est la vie. But they've also said way in the past that they'd never do a system like that. I mean, I suppose you have like camos, and you could maybe have like special camos that are linked to, you know, if you do well or if you do badly. But it would be cool to see a system like that. I hope they do one day, instead of just the system that we have right now. What are tanks does it based on average damage in the last X games? Yeah, and I mean, you could do that in War Thunder. You could do like average score or something, right? But yeah, we'll have to see what they decide to do. Like, there are many things they could do, and, you know, it would be nice to see them do something which is, you know, different to the norm. And also, like, imagine trying to get like marks for a bomber or something, or marks for a scout. You know, they have fundamental different ways to play. So like, how would that even work? It would be very hard to just do it by KD. So then we have SK, Gunslinger, Slinging El Gunno. Just shoot these. Speaking of military simulations of the past, two of my favorite online simulations were Air Warrior, an online combat sim in the days of dial-up internet. The follow-up sim was called Aces High. I remember Aces High. It's still in existence but barely alive. This was what I was playing when I heard helicopters were coming to War Thunder. As far as offline games, my favorite three were Falcon in its various versions, Gunship 2000, and another called Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. I still remember a game called Mig Alley, which I played way back in the day. The game where I really kind of fell in love with the whole thing was a Battle of Britain simulator from the early 2000s. I can never remember its name. I always have a look at it, like whenever I mention it. But that was one which really made me fall in love with this whole setup. But yeah, I remember having a MiG Alley game, which was super fun. Basically just sabers versus MiGs. But the main one was the Battle of Britain ones. Like they work so well, and they just it was just really cool having like the strategic map or the combat map, and then also on top of it having the strategic map or the combat map, and then also on top of it having, you know, the actual flying part as well. Because you could fly like different vehicles. Like if you played on the German side, you could fly Heinkels around in formation and drop bombs and, you know, obviously defend yourself against the Spitfires coming in and Hurricanes. It was super fun, like, and all voice acted and everything. It was wonderful. I would love something like that from the modern day, but I feel like it probably won't make any money. So you know, I don't know if the player base is there for that kind of thing. But yeah, I would love to play stuff like that. There's a bunch of games we're going to be playing next week that I'm looking forward to, that will hopefully kind of get that itch, but we'll see what goes on. So then we have Hayden Dill. Hello. Thanks for the update on the China vehicle sales. Would have missed it without your War Thunder videos. It was a good deal. I got the 2 T-69s to obtain a nuke with them. Use that 3%, guys. Well, that's very kind. And yeah, I mean, the little kind of like sale event things they've been doing, I think are kind of nice. You know, I'm a bit worried about it kind of screwing up the matchmaker as it goes, but if it's having a positive effect, the thing I don't like about them, and this is just more of like an average thing, the only thing I don't like about these setups is the simple fact that in order to maximize them, basically what ends up happening is they remove vehicles from sale to create artificial rarity. And even with this sale, they did it with the Z19E, you know, which I feel like is a vehicle which was doing pretty good. I didn't hear anybody ever complain about it, like it was doing bad or wasn't selling or anything. Or yeah, so that it kind of sucks that they do that. And then, you know, they'll do like an event in the future where it's like, oh, it was the first time it was flown, so we're bringing it back for GE, and it's going to be a higher price than it was before. Ooh. And I don't like it. I don't like it as a business tactic. I'm not okay with it. It feels pretty rough overall. Yeah, home in the German Sherman, yeah, and also the T-34 prototype, same deal. Like, it just doesn't feel good, which is why I don't support those types of tactics. Like, luckily, I don't depend on, like, people buying stuff, like, to be able to live my life. I still have a job, you know, and do all that stuff. I don't need to promote, like, company doing shady shit, which is pretty nice. Hey, Space Dog, nice to see you. I usually re-roll the special tasks, which rely on team play. So, you know, supporting fire ones or anything like that. Missions 1, activists, things like that. Because I know individually I can do well, but I can't control how my team does. So, those are the ones that I have a look at. So then we have this is Sparta. This is Climax, actually. Or Climax, I'm guessing. With an Overwatch profile picture. My boy has been into that Rule 34. Greetings, Attack. Hello. Wanted to ask you if you think Gaijin should add air arcade maps to air realistic mode. Oh, interesting. I feel like most air realistic maps are pretty much the same, and what terrain is on the ground doesn't change much to the big pile-up that happens almost every game. The new Rocky Pillars added some spice to the matches, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. if they were to add some more of those, perhaps with added adjustments so the spawns are right next to each other. Love the content and love to lurk in the streams while I play myself. Take care. That's all good. I'm glad you enjoy the stuff. The simple thing is, with it, is they tried that a while ago. I don't know if they did it by accident or not, because obviously you never really know that. But one of the things that they did do was they added, they even, I mean, more recently added one, right? Like there's that Heights map, which is a arcade map. They added that to the pool for realistic. But back in the day, they literally added all the arcade maps to realistic. And there was a lot of people who didn't like it. Pretty much as simple as that. They weren't happy with the maps being there, because they thought it took away from the tactical side of Air Realistic. And to be honest, I agree with them. But also, I understand that the tactical side, or the main tactical side of Air Realistic, like the way that people used to play it previously, is long gone. Like that's dead. That's dead and buried, right? Because of, you know, how everything works now. So if we take the way that people play today and we want to promote that way of playing, which personally I'm not a huge fan of, but let's say that's what people want to do, then that's how to do it, right? Like you promote it through just adding those maps in, because it won't make a difference. People will just like smash into each other. But for me, I would like people to at least try a little bit more in air, to not just smash themselves in the head over and over again. But if the average person, if that's how they want to play, then so be it, you know? Like, so be it at the end of the day. Who am I to judge how people want to do stuff? So if the current type of combat continues, then yeah, just literally just bring them in, you know? Just bring them in and have a decent time with it. Why not? If anything, what you could do is you could bring them in and then see the reaction from people. And then if the reaction is good, then you of course keep it. If the reaction is bad, then you don't. Like that's pretty much it, right? That's all you got to do at the end of the day. There's no other thing that you need to do. It's probably what they did before. They like tried it out and then it didn't exactly work, so they kind of backed off. I think I'm on my last missile, by the way, so we'll test it and then see. It might not be, but who knows. So then we have Hayden Dill. I actually like the Disney games from the early 2000s. Treasure Planet, Battle at Proicon, and Disney 102 Dalmatians. PTTR comes to mind. Surprisingly high quality for movie video games. I remember there was when was this? Like maybe 10 years ago? Maybe less. There was like a Pirates of the Caribbean game which I really enjoyed. Weirdly enough. But that was way later. I remember there was one there was a set of games which I would really love to play again, but I don't even know if they're even available like on PC. Which were kind of, they were point and click games, right? Like they were, we need to find out how all of these area works, right? And the games were based on the Famous Five, and the Famous Five were kind of a set of kids who were, you know, mystery guys, and they kind of found games which they would go to places and they would work out what was going wrong with them, right? And there was one which was called Famous Five Treasure Island, right? And I have no idea if it's still around. According to this, yeah, it's from 1999. So, yeah, quite a long time ago. And according to this, it's you can actually download it. It's because it's abandonware. So maybe we'll play it. Which should be quite fun. Because, yeah, it's just a point-and-click one. But that brings me to another game, which was also point-and-click, which was a video game of Muppets Treasure Island. Which I gotta say was actually a pretty good game too. Like the point and clicks are not games that I usually vibe with, because I kind of want a little bit more gameplay. But to play those kind of old games and to play them again, I'd be fully down with it, just to like, you know, go through it and kind of enjoy it. And I think we will, because it's nice having like little nostalgia hits here and there. But yeah, there was also Muppets Inside. Muppets Inside was a great game. It isn't a porn game. It's literally you go inside of a PC. You ain't, you know, doing the dicky with Miss Piggy. Nah, it's you go in. Basically, the Muppets get sucked into a PC. So then what you have to do is you have to go in and save them from being stuck inside the PC. So it doesn't just teach you about how a PC's put together. You also had a bunch of like different mini games that you could play alongside of it, which I always thought was really cool. So yeah, pretty nice at the end of the day. But yeah, the next week, I mean, we're gonna play a bunch of different stuff, and one of them, I'm working out what I'm gonna do, but I kind of want to play EA Sports Rugby 08 because that's the perfect rugby game. And as somebody who's a big fan of rugby, and also the World Cup's going on right now, I thought, why not give it a go? You know, why not get involved and, you know, play one of the games I enjoyed a lot because it actually had a proper management system, and yeah, there was so many different things to look at and enjoy from that game. But yeah, there's just so many good games out there right now, which is why for me, like when I think about like Fanatical, I think about like Humble Bundle, I think about, you know, even like sales. I feel like Steam has sales like constantly when it comes to it. Like I just think about the fact that we're in a time where there's just so much stuff going on game-wise that it's very hard to just stay tied to just playing one game all the time. Like and I really hope that people like broaden their horizons and try a bunch of different things, because like even back in the day, you know, for me there wasn't as much opportunity to be able to do that, but I know nowadays for a lot of people there is. So I just hope people like get stuck into that, you know, give a bunch of different games just you know, give a bunch of different games just a ton of like time and just see how they feel, have a bunch of different mini experiences, which is what, at least for me, this year's been about. This year's been about not just playing War Thunder and getting all that stuff done, but also playing 50 other games, and at the moment we're pretty close to that, and it's been good, you know, it's been really nice. So let's have a look at the next one. We have McSteven Hauser. Hey Tech, on the topic of the new maps, I'd love to see a Cold War Berlin, like around Checkpoint Charlie. Would also like to see one of the British training towns as a fun weird ground map. Yeah, that's something that I thought about in the past. So, you know how they've done in War Thunder, they've done the they've done stuff like American Desert. Well, there was a bunch of like fake towns which were around the place, right? Like fake towns which were designed to be bombed instead of bombing the correct places, or even like fake army bases. And you could even do stuff like you can mix and match like certain ideas. Like you could even take inspirations from movies. Like you could build like the stuff from Oppenheimer, which obviously existed. You could do, you know, like pre-war London, post-war London. You could do all of these different things, which would be nice to see. And hopefully, as we've right now, we're in a period of time in War Thunder where they've got all of the information from, you know, the map rotation filter and also how people play maps. So it is very obvious that they have found the winning formula, right? Like the winning formula of what people want in these maps. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of the more recent maps, like especially when it comes to air and ground, they're all basically the same. Like they're all set up in specific ways with slightly different terrain and slightly different what's the word? Slightly different like physical assets used, but they all play exactly the same. And the reason for this is because they've 100% worked out what people like and what people go on for through basically stats, which is not a surprise. Like that's how, you know, the map, that's one of the reasons why the map rotation filter was going to be useful, not just because it means people can pick what they play, but also Gadget knows what people want to play, right? So then they can start building stuff around it. It isn't really a surprise that we've seen a ton of maps be added recently, because they know now what people want to see. So like, yeah, and as we like kind of go forward with that, there's gonna be very similar maps which are gonna come out still, and people will enjoy them and they'll like them, and you know, generally they'll be okay. It's just I'm a bit worried about everything kind of feeling the same as we go forward. So yeah, it would be nice to maybe have like one realistic map a year, which is just based around a realistic place. And if it needs to be balanced or needs to be moved around, then sure, why not? You know, why not get it done? Which will be quite nice. There are so many maps now as well, you can rotate them, you know, in and out of the pool, which is what actually happens, especially at certain BRs, so could easily just get that done, have a bit of fun with it. So we have Morgan Jama. Suggestion. Gaijin could add the Finnish ZU-23 mounted on the back of a ZIL-131 truck to give Sweden a more effective mid-tier SPAA. I mean, yeah, they could, just like they did with the BTR ZD, right? Like, same idea at the end of the day. Could easily be done. Yeah, I've really liked the addition of a lot of these AAs they've added recently. The Eastervark, the Bosvark, the you know, the BTR even, or the BTR ZD, the M5359. I think I much prefer when the kind of balance between CAS and ground stuff is the balance between CAS and ground stuff is more in the favor of the ground stuff than the CAS. So with overpressure coming in, it kind of nuked that, but we're getting to a point now where if you are a ground player, you have more of a chance of it actually being, you know, more useful. So hopefully they keep adding these kind of AAs at mid-tier, which do have quite a fast, you know, fire rate, and they aren't, you know, they're actually going to do more damage to things. I hope that continues. It would be nice to see, and hopefully we continue to like go along that route, because I think it's a much better route than the previous one, which is just waiting for CAS to just annihilate you. It helps. I think it's good to have planes which are, you know, very good anti-CAS, but it's also obviously good to have AAs too. And you know, the 23mm is a rapid aggressive platform to be able to annihilate stuff, so why not? Why not just get it in and get it sorted? I think it's important to have those types of things. So we have TK221. Since the start of the war in Ukraine, oh, here we go. I see lots of vehicles with VOZ. I know some people do this for historical accuracy, but personally I get angry when I see those markings. My question is, would it be a wise move if Gaijin temporarily removed decals which you can use to create those markings? So they already did remove certain ones from purchase, right? So people couldn't do it in the future. And also at the same time, they did say if people are using those markings, you can report them and they will actually get banned because of, you know, because of what's been going on. The issue I have is you would have to remove every single decal in the game, because the V symbol and the Z symbol is one of the easiest things to be able to get sorted. It's one of the easiest things to create, right? And also at the same time, it is just part of an alphabet, which has to be, you know, kind of pushed forward. If you want the game to be apolitical, that also means that Gaijin has to not respond to these things, right? Because in effect, by responding to them, they are making a political stance, especially since technically it's a historic setup. The main thing that, in my opinion, individuals have to do is to not get vehemently annoyed about a letter, because you know why people are doing it in the game. They aren't doing it because they support what's going on. They are literally doing it because they know it triggers people. And it's an unfortunate thing, right? Like now with the stuff that's going on in Israel, you know, all players who play Israeli vehicles, there's just going to be people who just say dumb stuff constantly because, you know, people are children and they also use games to blow off steam, and there is a subset of people who believe gaming should be political. And all I can say to those people is there's many windows around the place. It's much better just to fall out of them. The simple fact is you will never be able to get away from that stuff. the way to actually get away from it is just to not respond, and then just move, you know, just move away from it. Like that is how you fix that issue. And it fixes it pretty quickly when you realize that it's not something to really be bothered about, because when you play a game and you see it, you can just move on to the next one, and then it just doesn't exist, right? But yeah, I wouldn't get angry about symbols, especially in video games. Obviously, in real life, there is, you know, something to be said about if people around you are getting antagonistic, or if they're going after stuff, if it's affecting other things. But in video games, you know, the culture, I feel like, should be, you know, let the powers that be deal with it, and also realize that you'll never see that person again, or the amount of times you will see that individual again is incredibly tiny compared to other stuff. So we have Jerry. Hello again, Tech. Hi. What game mode do you enjoy playing the most? Ground, air, or naval? Also, should I grind the British air tree or the Italian air tree? So we'll do first one first. If you focused on just propeller aircraft, I would say Italy. If you focused on an overall better experience, definitely Britain. Britain has pretty much every type of vehicle you can think of, and they're all pretty fun. You know, a lot of people go after the British tech tree because it doesn't always have the best vehicles at each of the BRs, because no tech tree does. But what you have in Britain is many different vehicles which give many different unique experiences, and that's what makes the tech tree pretty fun. Like you have a ton of vehicles which actually work extremely well together and give different playstyles which, you know, most people aren't going to generally use or generally play. So for me, I would say Britain over Italy. But if you're just looking to play propeller planes, Italy. Italy has the best propeller planes in the game. They're just fantastic to play. Like they're just really fun. So definitely the way to go there. What was the other one again? Oh yeah, what do I enjoy playing the most? It depends on how I'm feeling on that day. So I like the fact that there is so much variation in War Thunder, because it means that I can, well, just do different stuff, right? Like I can play this on this day, I can play that on that day, and all of this stuff. I go through phases, so, and it's more about the vehicles that I want to play. For naval, for example, I've actually kind of been enjoying just playing cruisers recently, which I know might be blasphemous to some people because they see it as boring. But for me, because of how my brain works, when I'm doing something like this, I'm usually like focusing on 3 or 4 or 5 different things at once. So I'm not just thinking about, you know, playing naval, I'm also thinking about stuff I'm going to do tomorrow. Obviously the tech talk, you know, the chat stuff, and then all of these different things, right? So depending on the mood that I'm in, like naval can be absolutely perfect. Now, air is one of those which I played for the longest, because obviously I started playing the game when it first came out, and there was only air modes. There was only air modes going forward. But I think the one that I've had a decent amount of time over the last few years is probably ground, because I put the most effort into it. So if I had to tier them, it would be aviation 1, ground 2, naval 3. But it honestly really depends. Oh, and helicopter in a very, very distant 4. But it honestly really depends on how I'm feeling, like on that day or in that period of time. Like I can just wake up one day and be like, okay, I've had a pretty stressful day at work. You know, it's been pretty tough today. Let's just like turn up and just shoot things with big ships or small ships. Or, you know, sometimes I just want to focus on grinding a specific vehicle. Like during the event, you know, I grinded out so many vehicles. It's just nuts. Like when I think about my spading rate, it was crazy for aviation. And, you know, there's plenty of things that I want to play in the future in aviation and ground and just get them done. And I will do. It really is just how I feel on that day. It really is. And It's one of the reasons I really enjoy War Thunder, because, you know, I can mold the game to how I feel instead of having the game affect how I feel, right? I know that sounds weird, but like I feel like a lot of games, if they focus around like one game mode, or if they focus around like one way of playing, like let's say like Call of Duty, right? Like where in Call of Duty you have, hey, we finished the Liverpool, nice. In Call of Duty, if you have a setup where you don't like the main game mode, yeah, you may have like another one, but at the end of the day, it's all down to shooting each other, right? Like it's all down to PvP, who aims better, who shoots better. Where in War Thunder, it's like, oh well, I don't know, my mouse isn't feeling well today, my wrist isn't feeling well today, so let's scout, you know, and then every so often take targets of opportunity, but let's scout with light tanks. Or I don't know, maybe I want to work on my efficiency, so oh well, let's go use like a bomber and try and take stuff out in ground forces, or sorry, in air forces, right? Like go after the AI stuff. Maybe I just want to play some like single missions and just kind of chill. And that's what I do, and I feel good doing it, right? Like that, there's all these different things that I can do if I want to in War Thunder, which is just really good. And I'm no longer getting the boxes. It's very sad. Unlucky. Wait, am I still getting the boxes? No, it's just lying to me. Because I've hit the maximum. Very sad. But yeah. So then we have Away With You, Valbega. Let's see what is said. Glad to hear you're at this point last week went well. Yeah, it did. Seeing how I made you into a rap god with my rant last time, I'll go back to a more chill conversation to bring balance to the force. Oh, I do need to watch Ahsoka. Has anybody finished Ahsoka? Thoughts? Is it worth it? That's something I need to have a look at over the next period of time. You made a video explaining the whole ammo stage situation. So I wanted to know, how do you deal with vehicles like the shop where the first ammo stowage is in the front of the tank? I for one choose to take full ammo like I do with all glass cannons, and the Churchill since you eat through ammo like crazy. You think it's good? Fair. Alright, well, I'll give it a go then. Let's just set this up properly. I just need to get my thing rolling. Just so we can get away here. There we go. Okay. P.S. When it comes to old games discussion, nothing can beat the infamous 10,001 categories in the NES/SNES era. 2 to 4 pages of original games followed by copies and slightly changed names. Yeah. Yeah, the 1001 games things. Those were hilarious, but so many of them were so bad. I remember there was like millions of baseball games, because obviously baseball games were pretty easy to make. Good old baseball. Anyway, hope you finished the event and get the vehicles you wanted. Even the L launcher seems pretty underwhelming. Oh, and happy post-event vacation. You deserve it. Yeah, we're gonna have a bit of fun playing some other stuff, and it should be nice. I'm getting absolutely bonked over here, though. I should probably do something about it. There's some destroyer, of course, chucking HE at me with a Chinese name. I'm sure it's completely fine, even though it's a fucking Moffat. Yeah, so if I don't know what to do with a vehicle, if I'm not entirely sure what I want to do going forward with it, like the amount of ammo that I want to run on it, the basic thing that I do is I run what's the word? I run about 15 to 20 shots. So if it usually has an exposed ammo rack, so something like an Ariete, right? Like with an Ariete, no matter what you do, like you're gonna, once you're penned, you're dead. So I usually take 15 or 20 shots, depending on how I feel about the vehicle. Like, for example, with like stuff like the T-72 when I first played it, I only took 15 shots. And the amount of times I had it where people straight up just shot through my ammo rack because there was just nothing there, right? But they were like, how did you not die? And it's like, well, the stowage holds like 20 rounds and you just shot through an area with no armor, right? and it didn't hit anything. So, like, I will only take that many rounds. I don't ever, like, just fill the first stage. Are you serious right now? So, I don't ever fill the first stage. By the way, the reason why this guy's shooting at me is because he's a bot. And he literally... I was the first person to spawn on the map. So that's why he's aiming at me. So... The reason why... I only take like those amount of ammo and not more is because I do want to try and increase my survivability as much as I can, right? So on a shot, for example, most of the time I'll just take 15 rounds because I'm quite conservative in how many rounds I actually shoot a lot of the time. So yeah, that's pretty much what I would do. That's what I did with pretty much all of the Centurions, and it worked very well, if I'm honest with you. Like, it was very much a positive experience with them. I really like the Centurion platform. The stabilizer's super nice, and everything else about it works really well. So, yeah, hopefully going forward, people can enjoy that stuff as I do, because it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Alright, there we go. Make sure that guy's out of the battle. I need to start rolling. So we have Cat Top. Hey Tech, hello. Which tank, in your opinion, is the best to use in each top tier ground assault map? Ooh. No, let's just shoot somebody. The HSTVL is the best vehicle to use when playing the Sinai map, but I'm not sure about the others, so I want to hear your thoughts. I haven't played the PvE ground stuff for years, so I've absolutely no idea. I don't even know where to start on trying to answer that, because that part of the game, I think it's very useful to have, because it can mean that people can use it to be able to get access to modifications quicker that they need, and also do it in a more safe environment compared to a PvP mode. But for me, I don't see much use in it because I want to feel how a vehicle plays stock, how it plays spaded, and all of that, so when I do reviews on it or when people ask me about it, I can give a full, honest opinion. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea. Like, there are a few people who do play the PV stuff. I remember Gib, or Games in Bed. I don't know if he still plays War Thunder, but he used to in the past play that stuff. So it might be worth checking out his opinions on these things. But yeah, it's not something that I frequent generally, just because, you know, it's not very useful when I'm trying to work out how these things are gonna be used, or how people are gonna approach them in the game. Let's just take this guy out. The difference between this one and the Liverpool, by the way, so this one has one less gun, and also I don't have the mods on it, so I don't have the survivability. That's the basic difference. So yeah, pretty crazy. So then we have Dean. Let's have a look at Dean. Greetings, Your Grace. Hope you're doing well. Well, I'm alive and kicking, so doing alright. Not sure about Your Grace, though. Don't think I'll be very happy being part of the royal family. I'll probably be kind of annoyed, actually. I'm very much one of those people who... Why can I not stop going forward here? I'm kind of like one of those people who would actually want to kind of destroy the monarchy. I really have an issue with the idea of people being born into privilege. Like, I don't mean like their parents doing well and, like, you know, them like pushing forward, like, you know, trying to help the next generation. I honestly mean you are born and you are subject to a different set of rules compared to everybody else in the country. Which, if you know about at least the royal family in England, that's exactly how it works. It is written in law that they are subject to a different set of rules. It's nuts. Like, it is absolutely crazy. I think I might just die from going off the map here, so we'll see how it goes. Oh no, we're good. I'd like to hear your opinion on the implementation of a CC Council in War Thunder. Who wrote this? Who wrote this? Who was it? Hey, Donny B, nice to see you. Oh, nice, well done. Who's trolling? My idea of one would be every week or month, the devs would send a list of possible changes to the CCs where they would discuss which ones should be implemented. And the CCs would then ask their community to vote on the changes. The votes will then be added up and passed on to the devs at the next council meeting. Such a system would, I think, be good for the community since they would encourage people to watch creators so they can get their opinions heard. Obviously, the biggest problem with this idea is getting enough CCs interested in participating and taking time out of their schedules. Oh yeah, they're really busy schedules. Nevertheless, I still think the community could benefit from such a system, especially if you were to lead it, since I find your opinions the most logical and rational. Anyways, hope this wasn't too long. No, it wasn't long at all. No, I think is the basic answer. We went through this a few years ago because there was a few CCs who wanted to create a council like this. But the problem I have, and if you want, like I've done a bunch of videos and even some discussions on the topic years ago. You could probably have it look at it on the channel. Maybe it's called like council, or if you type in council in the search bar or whatever. The major issue I have with it is pretty simple. I don't think the average CC represents the average community member. And I think that when it comes to creating these councils, there is an unfortunate thing where there is a selfishness angle to it. And a power angle which you don't want involved in this. Because technically, if you add people to this council who are vehemently invested in the game to a point where they need it to, let's say, survive or grow or whatever to be able to go forward with it or create content around it, then that can create not just a positive feedback loop but also a negative feedback loop, because there are quite a lot of CCs which live off negativity and they abuse that with their specific communities. So the idea that every patch is the worst that's ever been, look at all of these bugs that makes the game terrible. I mean, I literally had to deal with it for years. Like CC's talking about well, if you don't listen to us, the game will die. Or why does Gaijin not listen to their community? Don't they know what's going on? This is ridiculous. The game's gonna die. Everything's gonna die. Everything's hopeless. And every time you actually talk to these people, what it actually turns out is their home lives are so screwed up, or they are just so screwed up as people, or they've realized that they can make money out of this situation. So what they do is they just straight up lie about their opinions because they know that people will click on them and go, hee hee hee, oh yeah, I agree with this because I'm also screwed in the head, right? So what you have is just a feedback loop which is negative. And that means that you can have people who are on like councils or who are in areas like this, where if you actually put them in those areas, they would push for changes which would be negative for the game because they don't want it to succeed. They want it to be negatively affected, and then they actually make more money from it. So if you took away the monetary value of it, if you took away the popularity of it, right? Then okay, maybe we can deal with it. But every single person who has wanted to be involved in a system like that has unfortunately gone down those things. Whether it's people wanting free holidays to like the Gaijin offices, whether it's people who literally believe that, they want the game to survive so they can make content around it, so therefore they can make money. So as I said, once again, monetary incentives. It's just no good. Or we could already do what we do, where instead of making it an official thing, right, where CCs can use their platform to be able to can literally be able to screw with public opinion, right? Maybe we could just let it happen the way it already does, where people let their voices be heard through social media on an individual basis, which has been successful for so many years now. Like, you've got to understand that a lot of the stuff that you see when it comes to CC stuff is not natural. And there is this belief that it is natural because it's portrayed as natural when it isn't. So if you set up a system like this, it would not be organic, it would not be natural, it would all be fully controlled. Right? And it would be done for the wrong reasons. Yeah, and the same with like the boycott thing as well. Like the War Thunder boycott, right? You know how everybody was together, linked in arms to be able to boycott the game, and then nobody boycotted the game, but the ideas got through, which was good. You know, people got their voices heard, yada yada yada. And then what happened to the group of people that followed that? They gave the power of the thing to a CC. You know, a person who streams on Twitch, a content creator, and they nuked the whole thing for memes. Because there was a bunch of CCs while all of that stuff was going on, which were laughing at everybody who was involved in that. But you will never see that happen publicly. Like, I don't know how many times I need to say this stuff, but the vast majority of CCs are not what you think on your side. They're on their own side, because in order to be part of content creation and to do this, there is a level of ego and also monetary value to it, which you don't see. And if you do it for a living, that's what ends up happening, right? Think about the fact that there's been a bunch of CCs even this year who have taken sponsorships from companies which are flat out what would be classed as evil or disgusting. And even competitors to the game that they cover every day. You think there's loyalty in that? You think there's loyalty from people like that? No, there never will be. My first act, if I was ever involved in a council like that, would be to nuke the council and go back to the way it is now. CCs already have too much power. They're already placated to too much. We literally, by the way, and I wonder how many CCs have actually talked about this. You know the last crate? You know the last crate? Like the camouflage crate? They just gave every single CC every single one of the camos. For free. Just for free. So now they don't even have to buy them on the market or do all the crate stuff. Right? They just get all of that for free. Wait, what? Really? Yeah. Here, tell me a camo from the crate. Because you guys know I haven't bought any of them, right? Yeah, I'll show you. Then I have one of these crates, right? Where is it? Sons of Attila, right? Let's see. So the fish camo, right? The fish camo, yeah? How do I have this skin? I didn't buy this. Yeah, here, I'll show you. They literally gave all of the skins to all of the CCs from this crate. Where is it? And nobody knows about it. Now, I'm going to make a video on it next week. Look, I have the skin. Right, now give me any of the other skins. What, the F-16C skin? Well, I don't have the F-16, so I can't show that. Yeah, but give me any other ones. Like that, you know, that I obviously have done. Is there a Vodzika skin? Just give me it. I'll show you that I have all of them. It's nuts. The KV1 skin? Which one? Like, which KV is it? Is this 5? Or the J7E? Okay, J7E. Because that one's a bit easier. Right? J7E. Okay, right here. So I got the esports skin, right? Which I got from the drops. Wait, there isn't even a skin for these guys. The 4.7s is 5? Let's see. It's only the skins from the last crate, by the way. So not previous ones. Alright, so you have there's this 5, right? Look, the Ruthless skin. I have it. I've never bought it. I just got given all of the camos from the previous crate. All of them. Yeah, I'll do a third one just to kind of show you. But yeah, nobody knows that, do they? Absolutely nobody knows that happened. Because zero CCs have talked about it. Right? Let's see. There's a tornado skin, there's a challenger skin. Yeah, so which challenger is it? There's a challenger which got a skin. I don't know which one though. I have all the challengers. I don't really feel like going. What's the point behind it though? I guess subtle marketing from CCs using the camos from the crates? Yeah, pretty much. MiG-23 Biena's one? Okay, let's check. As I said, it has to be from the last crate. Like, that's the thing. Yeah, there you go. The Czech Air Force. You don't get the chat drama behind some skins? The issue is privilege, basically. And they also cost money to the average person. So it isn't the fact that people get them for free, it's the fact that they cost money for everybody else. Right? And nobody talks about it. That's the big one. Like, you would be amazed how much free shit people get. Like, from each of the fucking updates, man. And because of that, it affects the way that people see stuff. If you get a vehicle for free that you don't have to grind out, and you don't have to grind out all the mods, and you don't have to, and you can just ace crew the vehicle. So you basically show it in its most optimal way, and you also edit highlights in a way that you only show it in a certain light. Right? Like, is that an accurate representation of what's in the game? That's what you have to ask yourself. And the question is no. So if you have that, do you want those people representing you as individuals? The answer is no. Hopefully. It really is. The BTR Radias one? Which one? Like the Hungarian one? Or the Soviet one? Like I think I bought one skin in my time. Like as a CC. Alright, where is it? But yeah, the issue, here you go. The Western group of forces. I haven't changed the slider on this one. Like, yeah, it's just fucking nuts, man. But yeah. None of these things are ever talked about or ever discussed. So the idea that you give people power who also do not play basically the same, the idea that they also here, right? Well, how am I trying to put this in my head? So the idea that you give additional power to people who already have a metric ton of power because of the fact that they make videos on the internet, and also there is a monetary incentive for them to do it in many different ways, is a really bad idea. Let's see. Sons of Attila, right? Like some of these camos, like a bunch of these camos are worth $2, $3, $4, right? In order to buy all of them, you're talking like $50. And that's just given automatically to every CC. Even a person who hasn't even made content in like a year that they've completely forgotten exists. Because there's like over 500 people in the program now. Or some crazy shit. It's crazy. So yeah. Like, and as I said, that it isn't the fact that it's happened, right? Because the fact that it happened sucks. The fact that nobody knows about it is worse. Right? That's the problem right there. The fact that absolutely zero people have talked about it. To what extent is this industry standard? I don't care. I don't care what industry standards are. There's a lot of things in the world that are standard in certain countries which are absolutely fucking barbaric. That's not my extent, right? Taking crypto sponsorships from very shady websites or taking like skin sponsorships in CS or other things may be standard. That doesn't make it right. That just means that people have normalized fucking shit money, you know. All hands to battle stations. Engines, flank speed. Helm, hard aport. But yeah, so the basic thing is all of these mechanisms already exist without CCs. So just use them. You know, you could do all of these things on the forums. You could do them in different places. But the thing that you have to always take into account is the people who get involved in social media when it comes to War Thunder are not the majority of the community. So even the largest CCs do not cover the vast majority of players who play the game. Which is scary to think about because of how this is all set up. But yeah. So there's no need to give undue influence to people who already have a massive metric ton. Just do them in a neutral setting if you want to do them. They already do through polls and other things. But yeah, I've talked about this stuff in the past a lot. Done a bunch of videos on why it's a bad idea. You know, not just from like the bias point of view or the average player point of view, or the fact that it's been done in the past in War Thunder and just didn't work. Like many different points of view. Alright. So then we have the next one. Let's have a look. So we have Elias, PI 1995 in the hizzy. 2 years before I was born. Favorite childhood games: the Arkham series, Spider-Man 2, Web of Shadows, Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway. Hell yeah. Conflict, Desert Storm 1 and 2, Medal of Honor Front Lines, which is what got me into history in the first place. The Italian Job. Oh my god, the Italian Job. Hey Shazin, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing good. Battlefront 2, Battlefront Renegade, COD World at War, Tomb Raider Legend, Toy Story, Toy Soldiers and Toy Soldiers Cold War, Simpsons Hit and Run, the Futurama video game, and Vice City Stories. I gotta say, a lot of those are very similar to the ones that I've played over my time. Simpsons Hit and Run is one of those interesting ones, because like, there's actually a dude who's like doing a port for it on PC. I don't know if he's like doing it legally or not, but he keeps posting like videos about it online. So I like kind of seeing it. But yeah, my first console was PS2. Before then, I did some PC gaming. But I didn't really do too much gaming. I only really started properly when, you know, I kind of got life stuff sorted out. But yeah, the Hit and Run is one of those which I always hear people really enjoyed, and I personally really enjoyed too. But I've also seen a lot of people critique it, and, you know, about how it isn't really actually that good as a game. But it was fun, and that's all that matters, you know. Like it was an enjoyable enjoyable Simpsons game. Probably the best one that there's been, you know. Hey Secretech, nice to see you. We're doing the tech talk right now. So we're just going through stuff and having a chat about things. Which is pretty fun. Enjoying ourselves as we do. Having a good time. And yeah, I mean, one of the games that I actually want to play is Thief. I want to give Thief a go again. Because that one was pretty enjoyable back in the day. I want to play through Dishonored as well again. Dishonored would be quite fun. But I didn't. The first GTA game I actually played was GTA 4. I played San Andreas after, like a few years ago. But GTA was one of those games that, I don't know, I just never really felt like playing it. I didn't really know anything about it. You know, one of my mates had it, and I just kind of preferred different experiences than just kind of going around the world and doing weird stuff. I kind of understand why teenagers like that stuff though, because it's like, here's all the stuff I can't get away with in life, let's do it, right? But for me, I don't know, I just never really got into it. Much preferred games like, what was that shooter game? Was it called Black? Do you remember Black, where it had like super realistic like guns in it? And super realistic sounds and stuff like that. That one was fun. That was another game that was enjoyable. I would have loved to play the James Bond games as well, but I just missed those. Didn't have a time to play those. Can't get into GTA, but RDR2 is cooler than that. Yeah, that's a game I have to give a go at. Like, and kind of enjoy. So we have Oh Don't Mind Me. Hey Tech. Hello. Don't really have a question or niche topic to bring up this time. I just like to thank you for the Wide Gadget and Love Hate series. Reading the comment section was the most fun I had in a while during lunch breaks. I now fully understand my part in the Melaneater lifestyle. We're all Melaneaters at heart. You know, I like being a Melaneater. I'm pretty happy with my Melaneating, and we'll continue. We actually had a look at some other wonderful Chinese insults. What was one of them? It was like, you are a water turtle, I think was it. Or that's a really bad one to say to somebody because it basically means you get around like you're a skank. Or you're a water buffalo or something. There were some great ones. There was also one which was like, I cursed 28 of you, which was like, I cursed 28 generations of you. Which I thought was quite deep, quite aggressive. You know, if you wanted to get in there, like not just screw you, but screw every single future generation of you. You know, like you're not allowed to exist. Oh boy, but yeah, there's I like Chinese insults. I think they're super fun, and yeah, that series has been enjoyable. I've taken a bit of more of a break off it recently. Just because, you know, like War Thunder's been pretty busy, like doing different things. But also at the same time, you know, we did that one yesterday, which was fun. Basically just the reading comments of that one individual from the forums, and I feel like that could easily be something which is important to do because, you know, one of the big themes or ideas I've been really trying to push this year, when it comes to just the generic content stuff and, you know, talking about different ideas, is for many years, like I talked about the idea of, you know, people don't agree. Like these things that people have in their heads and they think everybody agrees on, like the community believes this, the community believes that. It's just not true. Like it just never has been true. Especially somebody who reads a lot of this stuff and sees all the different opinions, it never has been true. So I kind of want to highlight that. Like I want to sit down and I want to be like, okay, you guys think that everybody believes the things that you believe because you want everybody to believe that stuff, or you want to believe that everybody believes that stuff. Well, here you go. Here's a bunch of just absolute nutcases who just believe weird stuff, you know, about the game and how it works. You know, I suppose we'll call them conspiracy theorists or whatever. And this is all based around, you know, true people. They are not fake, or they're not, you know, like anything like that. They are genuine individuals who are not trolling and have just done this for months/years. And some of them are some of the most celebrated people when it comes to the game. Because as long as 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 of their ideas sticks, people go, oh, well, that idea's pretty good. Yeah, but what about the other 9? Oh, well, you know, like, luckily I just conveniently forget about all those. Like, it's just crazy. So, I think going into the future, we'll probably make more videos like that one from yesterday. About, like, you know, welcome to, you know, welcome to what some people really do believe. Like, and it's not as if we're, like, exposing private chats or secrets or anything like that. This is just stuff that people feel comfortable publicly posting on forums or on general social media. And it's just got to be understood. Like, this, it exists. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like FUBAR, or this isn't like people making stuff up. This is just what these people think. And I think it'll be very positive doing it, because, you know, even though it's technically coming from my mouth, as long as I put, like, the disclaimer in, and, you know, people realize that this is from other people, it can really kind of show what I've been just trying to emphasize, which is, you know, it's not haha, laugh at these people, or look how dumb these people are. It's think about your own opinions. Think about the fact that there are these set of people out here that completely go against your opinions. So the idea that everybody agrees with everything, or everybody can go forward on the same line, is impossible. It cannot be done, right? It cannot happen. Because it's just untrue. So we have Type 10. Hey TEC, I think the F-18 is coming before the F-15. Ooh. Also, I think the F-18 will give the F-16 a worthy opponent to dogfight the Hornets. Prefers to get nose on first, but the F-16 wants to get on your ass immediately. Ooh. Seeing the F-14 not be the predator it used to be is sad, but it is what it is. With the F-15 and F-18, we'll make sure the F-14 struggles to keep up. Wondering how the J-10 and Su-27 will do against American dominant air power. I fear how stealth jets are going to work in this game, because imagine you minding your own business, flying to the battlefield and talking to your team, only for your teams to get deleted by a single F-35, 22 J-20, Su-57. It would be chaos. Long comment, but who cares? Have a nice day. Take care. You too. They'll just change the visibility percentage. That'll be about it. They won't make them so they disappear on the radar, because that would be crazy. Yeah, America, I mean, I'm not really that interested in the future of aviation. I think we've actually passed the fun part of aviation. Now we're into the part of aviation which is going to be boring as piss, really, because so 2 things will happen. This happened in ground, also happens in naval, and even happens in aviation now. It's just going to get worse. You're going to have people who play the meta stuff, and only the meta stuff. That'll be the vast majority of people. They will complain that their meta stuff is not properly modeled, and then they will constantly talk about the capabilities that these vehicles are supposed to have, according to random websites or magazine articles or snippets of information which have been like moved around on the internet, like devolved of either context, or devolved of, what's the other word, devoid of context, but also devoid of actual stats. So recently there was a post that there was a bunch of people that agreed with, and were like, yeah, let's go. And it was about, like, I think one of the Abrams, and the snippet of information said that the vehicle had improved armor over the previous version. So this was used as why do they not have different armor in the game? But the issue is, as always, is what is an improvement? Improvement doesn't necessarily mean that it actually is more effective at stopping shells. What it could also mean is that it's lighter, maybe it's easier to manufacture, maybe it's cheaper, maybe they've found a way of improving the process of creating it, maybe they use different materials to the same effectiveness. Improvement does not always mean better in the sense that it defends against more. Usually, especially like in the business that I'm in, if we talk about improvements to a system, it is actually usually we've improved the efficiency of getting from point 1 to point 10 on the creation of the thing, or, you know, the speed at which it's done. And that type of information is so annoying to deal with when it comes to like either a company point of view or when it comes to like an individual point of view, because you see these things that everybody is celebrating because they want to believe a certain thing is possible, right? Or they have an idea in their head of what it should be, so then they start believing that this piece of information is proves what they believe, so then they push forward and say, why can't they do this because of what this information says? And then they get annoyed with people who counteract it. And yeah, that's welcome to what high-tier aviation is going to be. That's going to be the standard now. And, you know, like I'm sure a lot of people will just sit back and enjoy it because it's good to enjoy, because, you know, it's just going to be America dicking on everything, which is what we already have now. But, you know, it'll be a bit more extreme. But it'll just be America v. America. So, yeah. Power creep is a real thing in aviation. Quite aggressive as well. And we have Elias again. The Warhawk in the US tree has a bunch of RAF camos too. Yeah, the P40, yeah. I really wish they added way more camos in that way, but they obviously want to bring those in as marketplace vehicles instead, right? So they can at least make a bit of money off of them. There's just so many market things now. The market at the moment is so bloated with stuff. I wonder if they actually have some like contingency plans for the market. Hey, Weed Smacker, nice to see you. Because there's metric tons of skins now on the market. I wonder if they'll ever like sell bundles, so you can buy you can get like 3 at once or something. So you could open like 3 chests at the same time at a discount, because there's so many skins now. It's just nuts. Some of them are crazy expensive too. It would be nice to see the sell rate on a lot of these. The Ayit Indonesian Air Force. That's quite a nice one. But yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. And then we have Devil Dolphin. I'm just wondering if the attackers like the A6, A7 will get radars. Will the F-16s get ground mode added to their radars? With the changes they've made to the radars and also the RWRs recently, if they had the capability to do it, then they'll do it. Or they'll get it. Does that make sense? It's just one of those things that takes time. Like, no vehicle gets added into War Thunder with its full base of mechanics straight away, especially at the top tier of the game. Which was why it was really funny. It was really funny with when the F-16 was on the dev server and everybody was complaining about how it didn't have like all of the weapons it should have. And then by the time it came out, it still doesn't have all of them, but it has all, you know, the useful ones, sorry. Like, weapons have always been something used for balancing these vehicles. And even from way back in the day, you know, like years and years and years ago. So yeah, I'm pretty sure stuff like that, if it existed, it will happen. It may happen on a specific variant of it to try and make it more unique and interesting for people. but it will make it happen. And then the A6 and the A7, I mean, the main issue, especially with the A7, is they just need to give it its airspawn back in Air Realistic. Like, there's no way that vehicle's doing well right now in Air Realistic. It must just be getting donked on. Anytime I see one in the batch, I just feel bad, because it arrives way too late to the battle, and it doesn't have the same abilities as stuff like the A10 or stuff like the SU-25 to be able to carry. So it just kind of sits there and just gets shot down. Like that's one of those vehicles where whenever they say like vehicles act or have similar efficiencies in different game modes, I find it very hard to believe that vehicle does, you know. Thank you for the Prime subscription, Sheffy. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you very much, man. Merci beaucoup. There we go. Okay, something just detonated. Right, next one. So we have bread for bread. Just talking about some Kiwi stuff. Oh dear. I'm being hate-cheated to death. What is going on? I can't get my guns on target. Something just exploded and my middle is just done. Hey Snowfington, nice to see you. We're playing the Leander, so the New Zealand machine. The RNZF developed the A4K. It was to make the aircraft more advanced and viable. This included the installation of the Ferranti digital blah 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 blah. I could just read this off Wikipedia. But yeah, it would be nice to see it in the in the British tree. It's always nice to see different nations be kind of shown, and hopefully going forward we see more nations. And New Zealand's one of those which doesn't have a ton of room for stuff like that, but it'd still be good to see. There we go. Nice to see a Lucky Strike. Hopefully doing alright today. Elias with the third comment. Goddamn. Happy Thanksgiving. I feel like Former World of Tanks players is where you get the people that think there should be a tank-only game mode coming from. Maybe, but they've also been around for a long time. It isn't necessarily just the people who are ex-World of Tanks players. It is just people who don't want to play aircraft, which, you know, is fine. You can do that. But it's not what Warthund is about and never will be. So the game would be fundamentally different to balance if those only ground vehicles, you know? Yeah, I feel good, Lucky Strike. Life's good. We're just chilling, doing the tech talk, going through things. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a decent chunk of them were ex-World of Tanks players who were used to that setup. A lot of the guys who also want the top-down artillery are also ex-World of Tanks players who, hey, funnily enough, played those vehicles too. Weird, isn't it? It's like all the guys wanting submarines and then playing them in World of Warships and then being like, oh, these are awful in World of Warships. Hey guys, we should add them to War Thunder. Like, you wonder how much of it is just a psyop, you know? Like how many of it is just like how many of it is just people who just want to watch the world burn. You know, it's always something I've always thought about. Like some people, like, you know, like Bruce Wayne's butler, can't remember his name. Not Ralph. What was his name? I honestly don't remember it. The Alfie, was it, or something? Some men just want to watch the world burn. Like, simple as. You can't get around it. God. Alfred. Yeah, there you go. I was close. Alfie. Alfie the Butler. That was a really good trilogy of movies, by the way. The Dark Knight trilogy. I want to watch it again. I do. The missus don't want to watch The Dark Knight because she don't like clowns, but I don't know. I'm fine with that clown. So then we have Salsa Jamin. Pretty cool name. Salsa Jamin, maybe? In my first years of playing, I used the events to grind events whenever I could. Now I consider myself a vet. I get how fulfilling the event is, like you said in your final event day video. I don't know many vets who grind it instead of just buying it, and I feel like this is something many of us go through. Yeah, a lot of the people who I played with over the years who've been around for a long time, they just don't grind the events anymore. Because well, first of all, a lot of them have jobs, so like it's like, okay, do I play for like 40 hours to grind this like over a small period of time, or do I just buy it for $20? And a lot of them, like, they just have to work for 1 or 2 hours, and that's the money, right? They'll just do that, and they'll just put it as an expense. Looking at how the game's population has been reaching record highs, the proportion of newer players to vets is only growing larger. Therefore, the number of people who aren't spending money on events is growing larger. This is reflected by how the event rewards sell for so little, even though the grind is as bad or even worse than before. I think the main driving force of this is the player base as a whole values their time less and less because of the growing proportion of inexperienced players. In order to make the event feel fulfilling for those who grind the event, you need to have more players who value their time and purchase the vehicles. I'm not sure how Gadget can convince people to value their time more without making the grind worse. Well, there's that, but there's also the other thing, right? And the other thing is that because there's more people who are grinding the events, there are now more vehicles on the marketplace than there was previously. Like, if you actually have a look at the amount of, let's say, LOSAT or SU-25s that are on the market compared to the, maybe 4 or 5 years ago with different events, the just sheer amount of them which is on the marketplace compared to those events is just nuts, right? Like, even the Garland, the Garland, I think, was a battle pass vehicle, wasn't it? Like, how many Garlands are on the market? Does anybody know? Because that thing's like worth like 2 Gaijin coin and has been for many years. It was worth like 1.5 Gaijin coin for the longest time. And it is big, not just because it's a rank 1 vehicle, but there was just an abundance of them for so long, and still is, because nobody wants to buy it. Like, let's see, how many Garlands are on the market? Papa don't preach. Wait, so there's 216 Garlands on the market, right? So 216 Garlands on the market, right? And how many, let's see, price history whole time. So the most quantity wise that there's been on the market at any point was around about 200, so the amount that's there now, right? Which is just nuts. But if you have a look at like the LOSAT or even the Kurama, but the LOSAT, there's 2,000. There's 2,285 LOSATs on the market. There's 4,000 CTCV 105s. And if you compare that to the Centurion Mark II, there's 83. Because most veteran players are the only ones who do the battle pass, right? The M60, the T80 UM2, there's 610 of them. The 2AV, there's 554. So just the jump, the Moderna, there's 182. Just the jump from like last year to this year is crazy. There's 1,200 QN506s. Like so yeah, how many PO2Ms are there? Is it even on the market? Was it even allowed to be? I don't even know. Oh yeah, there's 287. There's 35 BIs. There's 90 MiG-21 PFMs. So just the sheer amount of them which are being put on the market is nuts. It's absolutely crazy. So there's that too, but I do agree with the other one. Another major factor is the new opportunity to be able to get 2 top prizes instead of 1. Yeah, that's a big one. I agree with that. This is a nice feature that you've wished for the longest time, but the downside is it's driving down prices. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I don't really mind about the price thing hugely. I'd personally prefer if you could get all 4 prizes. That's always been the thing I've wanted to kind of push forward with. The thing that I think is the most important out of all of these things. But yeah, the fact that you can get more out of this event is positive compared to what it was before. You also mentioned in that video that the balance is much more skewed on the monetary side rather than the effort side. Both of those factors I mentioned help skew it that way. The first factor, Gaijin has little control over without worsening the grind. The second one is a benefit to us. I hope I don't come off as a Gaijin shill, but I think the results we see with this event have logical explanations, and the issue might only get worse and harder to balance. The thing is, I completely agree with everything you've said about it, and it's not about it being... I don't think it's a shill thing or whatever people want to say. It's just an observation, right? The changes that Gaijin have made to the event, specifically the one where because they did 2 things this event. So the first thing they did was they made it so it is harder to be able to get they made it so it's harder to sell the individual components. So what people did is they just ground out the whole vehicles and then sold those instead, and that's what's also, you know, pushed down the price. At the end of the day, if we actually look at it, this event is much more beneficial for the individual player compared to previous events, because you can get more out of it at the same rate, and also stuff's cheaper on the market because of that, right? So that's overall benefits. I personally think it just doesn't go far enough. It needs to be a state where you can grind everything, and also at the same time, it needs to be a state where if the market prices go lower, I just don't, you know, I that's obviously positive. I'm fine with that happening. If anything, that's a positive thing to happen. It's just I want them to readdress the grind, to add something to it which makes it more beneficial to actually play the game instead of just sat there and not, right? So, because it isn't just... I'm not really worried from like the PC point of view, because yeah, you can just buy it as is talked about. But the console players just don't get that. So what has ended up happening for the console players is this event has technically got harder because they don't get access to all of those different mechanics, right? Which sucks. Fuck. But yeah. This is a step in the right direction. I just feel like it needs a leap instead of a step. So we have Swinty. Thanks for the great videos. Anytime. It's been a pretty crazy period of time, but a fun one over the last few months. And even before then, for obvious reasons. I've been doing this for a long time, and there's no breaks. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep having fun. So, thank you for the kind words. Then we have Bob. Oh, here we go. Hi, TEC. Hello, Bob. Bobbington of Bobberton. We talked about the Chinese Blue Water fleet up until 4.7 last week, so why not have a look at the higher tiers in this video? As we all know, China didn't even start to build or test any battleships, so we have to go in another direction. Missile destroyers. I'll spare the most of the details to cut it short. You're welcome. Oh, very kind. The first class is the Anshin class, which is a Gnevi class or Nevi class DDs that were bought from the Russians. The torpedoes were replaced with 2 twin SY-1 ASM launchers, which is a good trade, I suppose. Let's just get these off. The second and the third would be Type 51 Luda and the Luhu, Type 52. They have a bunch of different weapon base on the subtype, including SAMs, guided torpedoes, and varying amounts of either SY-1A or YJ-83 missiles. Both classes could carry Z-9 helicopters as scout as well. Pretty nice. Now for the missiles. The SY-1 missiles have a range of 80 kilometers and about 500 kilos of explosives. They're rather early models, and subsonic speed, huge size, and suboptimal maneuverability. The YJ-83 are considerably smaller than the SI-1 and the 165 kilo warhead, but they are also much faster, Mach 1.4 in terminal phase, which makes them harder to intercept. I don't feel like the ASMs would be unbalanced if placed at like 6.7 to 7x, since almost everything except for some BBs have enough AA to deal with them and threatening BB players, so they have to use their brainers at least a little bit. Nah, that's not fair, you can't do that. Also, having ASMs in the Chinese tech tree would also provide Gaijin with another cash cow, but also not too big group of players testing them. Yeah, I'd be fine with it. We know that they're adding missile destroyers anyway, right? So, might as well bring some more in. China is one of the nations in the game which still could have a competent navy. We'll have to see when they add them in. Because it will happen, it's just when, right? They still need to do all the French stuff. So, yeah, it should be fun. Hopefully it all goes well with it. I do need to continue to play some of the French stuff though. It's been I've been a little bit behind on it, obviously because of the event and just kind of wanting to grind it out. So then we have well GG bro. There you go. Question for Tech. Hello. When it comes to adding paper vehicles, what will be the limitation? Like finished prototypes but no test whatsoever, or the wooden mock-ups? Well, technically there won't be a limitation. The limitation is, like, the limitations would be the exact same as the limitations that we have today. Do the people who make the decisions to put the vehicle into the game feel like it can be balanced and also fills a gap that it needs to? So it isn't limitations by, you know, technical documentation once you go over that threshold. The limitations literally become, does it fill a gap that we need filled? So you go away from, you know, physical or historical characteristics and you go towards gameplay characteristics, which is basically what they've been doing anyway over the last period of time. They've just been doing it more aggressively in certain areas than others. So yeah, it's just, it isn't a gameplay or a historical limitation. It is a game designer limitation on does it fit or not, which is a hard conversation to have because we don't talk to those people in public. Because why would you? Usually, you know, you get very controlled Q&As or very controlled live streams where you get to ask these questions and they're curated to a ridiculous amount because, I mean, why would you want... I mean, we see the shooting ranges, right? Like, we looked at the questions this morning. Woo! Jesus. Like, a bit rough. And we also saw, like, you know, when the last sneak peek stream came out, literally one of the major things was, why is the KF-41 not in Germany? Still haven't heard anything about that vehicle since its launch, though. Good old spikes. Super powerful. Alright, let's do that. There we go, we got Rexax. I heard your reference to Call of Duty. Would be nice that if we are spawn, that the spawns switch like in some shooters. It would change the sometimes short games. I mean, maybe. What is that window thing? Yeah. What is that thing that looks like a window? Well, Jerry, it turns out it's a window. Why can't we land on the airfields in air battles and reload our guns and change the secondaries? Well, Timmy, you can. Like, it's a tough world out there, man. As always, these people are allowed to breed. But, what was I saying? Yeah, moving around the spawns, I don't know. The reason why it's important to do that in Call of Duty is because the games are, like, super fast. And I feel like in War Thunder, if you're in a position where you're already getting spawn camped after 5 minutes, the game's already over. Like, the important thing to note in War Thunder is when you have lost. To know when you have lost. And it can happen after the first spawn, it can happen after the second spawn, and it is a key thing that has to be kind of understood. Not every battle you actually need to respawn into, because there is no way your team can come back from, right? Like, it's just not possible to do. So, yeah. That's something to always think about at the end of the day. Sometimes it's okay to just say, alright, we've lost, and that's okay. Move on to the next one, give it another go. Happens in shooters too, but in War Thunder you have more of an opportunity to leave, you know? Like you cut G, hello, nice to see yous, nice. With hull break I'm fine with it, to be honest. The only thing I was having a problem with is hash. It's either good or for an update or bad all the time. Especially when the FE4005 has 228 pen. We can't pen the Tiger front plate, but it shows it can. Don't bother with hash, man. Hash is like that girl that you were with at like high school or at university, where you had some like fun times with, and you think, oh, and then you know you break up, or you think about like every so often, you're like, oh, I should text her, maybe we'll get together at the bar and we'll have a great time and everything, and then you find out that she's just getting raw dogged by somebody else at the same time, and she just calls you and you just hear everything and you're like, what is going on? I just wanted to go for a martini, but instead like you're just hearing this horrific sound which is gonna scar you for life. That is what hash is. Just don't bother with it. There's only use hash if you're forced to use hash. It's never gonna be good. It's just like fetch. Stop trying to make fetch work. It's not gonna work. Like, and yeah, hull break is one of the funny things that, as I said, it's funny how people can just rename a mechanic, and everybody just likes it now. Oh dear, man. And we have Ralph. Oh boy. Ding ding ding. Right. Let's just go here. Like, sometimes it's good to relive old times. Sometimes you get gonorrhea. It's just how it is. Like, you can't always have everything you want. Hi Tech, keep up the good work. Your guides and confusion on the event have been really helpful and a laugh. Yeah. It has been a bit all over the place, you know. Like, it's these events, I think it's always good to do the recaps. But yeah, it's always an entertaining time. In your answer about what you would change about War Thunder, you said about the haves and have-nots, about event vehicles, particularly those missing from the marketplace. Oh dear. I think I might be dead here. Oh! Saved by the bell. Right, let's do this. I obviously share your opinion on this. I love filling out and spading every tree at rank 3 and below, and the fact that I cannot access things that have no reason to shut me off is infuriating. It got to the point where I made a support query, sad and stupid I know. No, it's never sad. Always good to chat about these things. About whether I could exchange some G for the Kachi as it would fill out my Japanese early tech tree and is one of my favorite tanks they've added. Of course I was denied, but it's just such a confusing situation given it's not on the marketplace. Yeah, exactly. Gaijin continually reintroduces vehicles that were removed from the online store for holidays and events, and yet draw the line at event vehicles from years ago. When players like me are willing to even pay for these things, I think just including these vehicles in the roster for holiday sales would be a step in the right direction. How did I get a... Oh, first place. Right, there we go. Just seems terrible from a gameplay and marketing standpoint. It just confuses me. You asked about childhood games. Unfortunately not on PC, but Rabbids Go Home was the GOAT for me. Oh my. Two little rabbit bastards that ruined the Rayman series in a shopping trolley where they screamed at people until their clothes fell off. What? What is that? Oh mate, that's grand. But yeah, it's just, it makes no sense to me. And the only thing I can think of is artificial rarity, or the other one, which is they have plans for them in the future, right? Like for the anniversary last year, the 10th anniversary, they brought back all of the vehicles from the previous years of the anniversary. You know, like, and they could just do that again, you know, for that event, but then they could also do it for all the other events too. So if you grind more, you get access to the older vehicles, you know? Why not? It just sucks for people who can't get access to them. Even if they are on the market, you know? Like, because then console players can't just buy them. I don't know. Makes no sense to me. One of the people I would love to just sit down with at some point is just one of the marketing guys. And I mean like one of the actual guys who makes decisions on these things. Because I know a lot of the wargaming guys, weirdly enough, and also a bunch of other companies. I know how they function when it comes to this stuff. But I've never chatted to the Gaijin guys, mainly because we don't speak the same language, so it don't really work too well. And also at the same time, I've always liked the idea of having the difference between. I love bots. Let's see. What do you think? Oh! 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 Dude, what is that? You've had 8 naval kills and 215 deaths. Wow. Oh my god, but he's a pro Blagorodny player. Yeah. It's a bot, baby. I should start doing like film references in my things. But yeah, they really should just bring back more stuff. Like, I would really like them to. I would really like them to do that if they can. I mean, well, if they can, of course they can. There's a bunch of vehicles I would love for them to come back to. Nice to see Polska, but I don't think they ever will. And that's like the ones that were removed many moons ago. Because I know a lot of completionists that don't have access to those ones. For me, like, I'm not as bothered to buy them. The only ones which kind of annoy me are the year 2s. But yeah. You should do a short tutorial on how to identify bots. Yeah, we could do that. I'll write it down. The main way is where they shoot and stack cards and how it's all set up. And who they target. Just include the whole B-movie script. That's a good idea. And we have House of Schmidt. Very powerful house, that one. Hi, Tech. Hello. Guardian's been missing out on this top-tier ground vehicle for years. It's unbelievable. It may still be too OP for the game, but I think we're just about ready for it. A Nissan Altima. Now, you may think, how could a Nissan Altima defend itself? Well, lucky for you, every Nissan Altima comes with a complimentary vape pen to smoke out of any sticky situation. The blistering speed of a Nissan Altima will make it near impossible to hit. Even an F-104 stands a good chance of being passed by a Nissan Altima. Nissan Altimas would be easy to hear though, since every Nissan Altima has Drake blasting on full volume. Just food for thought. I'm down. I'm completely down. Sounds fun to me. I think the one that I'd actually find more in the thing that reminds me of is a used car salesman. So I don't know if you've ever watched Matilda. You know the remake in Matilda, by the way? It looks like absolute gaff. It was a bloody musical. Imagine it. It's end of event season. Tensions are high. Not the time to talk about Netflix's Matilda musical because it's literal trash. So anyway, back to the point. The Matilda from like the 80s or the 90s, whichever that one was, the one with Danny DeVito. I think it was Danny DeVito. It looked like Danny DeVito. But basically, Matilda is a kid with magical powers who has abusive parents. And also an abusive teacher. Or headmistress. And basically, the dad is a used car salesman. And he teaches either Matilda's brother or maybe even Matilda ways to make the cars look newer than they are. And that comment right there, just for some reason, flashed me back to that like scene where I can't remember what he's doing. He's putting like sand in something. And also like obviously winding back the speedometer. But yeah, it's crazy, like the references that kind of ping off in your head. That was a fantastic film though. I really enjoyed it. Good stuff. So we have multigrade. But yeah, by the way, like pickup trucks with guns on them, I'm all down. You know, like recoilless rifles or, you know, AA guns, whatever it is, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's go nuts. Have a bit of fun with it. So we have multigrade. Hey Tech, not to intrude or anything like that, but can you talk about pre-modifying your vehicles, and when a new vehicle comes out, you spade them and the RP will go to a new vehicle to get the new vehicle faster. I told my friends this, and they never knew they can do that, and since they updated the thing to where you can see the RP, I think it would be a good idea to put it out there, because some people just don't know, and people who don't have premium would benefit from this, thanks. And the way I did the new vehicles, so the MiG-21 SMT, I had 3 vehicles that I didn't spade, and the Su-17M2 and the brothers to it. My bad for making read an essay. That's all good. So basically, it's something I should, yeah, you're right, I should probably make a video on, because it's something that veteran players have done for a long time. So if you complete a line, which one's a row and which one's a column? Is the column vertical or horizontal? Does anybody know? I always forget that stuff, like every time. But yeah, basically the horizontal line of modifications on a vehicle, if you research all of those out, then you get a bonus amount of RP, which is then attributed to the vehicle that you are researching. The column is horizontal. Okay, so the columns, right? So the columns. If you complete a column, then you get a bonus amount of RP. So what a lot of people do, God, my neck hurts so much, is they actually will get to a point where that set of modifications is nearly completed. The column is vertical, mate. What? Fine, row then. Are we good? Shit. Right. So yeah, the horizontal one. if you get it up to, let's say, like 90% or 95% done, what ends up happening is when the new update comes out and you select the new vehicle to research, if you spade that vehicle or spade that line, you'll get the bonus amount of RP that completing those modifications would give you. So if you stack these up, which a lot of players do, you can actually unlock new vehicles super quickly because of how it works. Now I'll show after in this one, just to kind of show you what I mean, because it basically means that you can pre-stack vehicles, so you can unlock them super quickly if you are really interested in a specific vehicle. And also at the same time, the bonuses that you get in RP for the modifications are not affected by the rank of the vehicles. So if it says that you get 2000 RP bonus if you get it, let's say rank 1, if you are researching a high rank vehicle, that bonus amount does not change. So it stays the same no matter what. Which is why a lot of people will kind of pre-stack certain bonuses together and be able to do it. Which is also why, like, when I researched out the 685, I was able to, or spaded out, I was able to actually get the 2S1 researched, even though the difference in general stuff, like general ranks, wasn't very good. Because through the bonuses of the modifications, I was able to sort it out. It's a really cool mechanic, and it once again is just another one that is never really brought up because, you know, it's not usually one that people do because usually people are focused on what vehicles are there now instead of what's coming in the future. But if there's like a set of vehicles that you don't really like playing, whether it be like strike aircraft or bombers or even light vehicles or whatever it is, you can actually get more out of them by doing this. So you can technically get more from not spading vehicles than you can from spading vehicles, which is just a crazy thing to think about. Because obviously for me, one of the things I always advise is to spade vehicles while you go through, because you get those bonuses. But if you are specifically waiting for a vehicle to be added, or if a vehicle is coming in the next updates, you can kind of prepare for it in this way. Instead of, you know, buying a pre-order vehicle or whatever, you can literally just wait and set up those like staggered bonuses, play a vehicle for, let's say, 2 or 3 games, and then you get all the bonuses from those modifications towards the new vehicle. It's really cool that you can do it like that, and isn't affected by tier bonuses or anything like that. So yeah, we'll have a look when I'm out of it though, or out of this match, just to kind of show, so I can show you visually, because it's much easier to understand visually. Then we have Papa Stalin. Hi TEC and chat. Monet, you will not silence me. Long live Greater Britain. What is Greater Britain? Does that include like Republic of Ireland? Now that you have finished this event, what did you enjoy? What did you hate? And if you could, that systems would you change and add for future events? I mean, the main ones are pretty much the repetition, right? Like, these events just kind of follow what I usually do anyway. So I don't really see them as hugely negative. It just means I have to put in a bit more effort on certain days that maybe I don't want to. The major positives from events like this is that I end up spading out a metric ton of vehicles in a short amount of time. Because I try my best at varying up the amount of vehicles I'm playing, otherwise I'll lose my mind. If I could efficiently grind the event and just play the same thing every time, and I would just go nuts. Like, for example, I could just grind out the SKR1 and SKR7 the whole event. We did that for 2 days because I was short on time, but if I'd done it every day, I would have lost my mind. Because for me, playing War Thunder is about playing different stuff. It ain't about just doing the same stuff over and over again, right? If I wanted to do that, I would play, like, you know, different games. So basically, the spading, the fact that I'm able to spade a lot of vehicles and I'm able to, you know, play a bunch of different game modes and also not have to focus as much on the battle pass stuff at the same time is nice. And that would always be good. But at the same time, that's not really because of the event, is it? That's just because the event forces a little bit more competence out of my, you know, gorilla brain. So I can technically do that without the event existing. I just choose not to because, I don't know, like, sometimes I just want to kind of chill. So, for me, that's the main positive out of these ones. The main negative is the fact that it is quite grueling for the most of the individuals. Like, the simple fact that it just ends up being you have to do the same, or you have to grind the same amount every day for so many days straight. Like it isn't really that fair for people that you have to grind 12 days out of 13. You have to do it at a very high end level, like 6 to 8 hours. And then also at the same time, it's like, if you don't want to do that, it's only like $25 or $50 on the other side of things. So for me, the negative is just the ratio between grind and cost at the moment. I think it's just off, which is no good. The other thing is just people are not in the same position as I am, meaning that they don't have as much time to be able to play compared to what I do. So I see so much meta stuff during these events. Like, these are the type of events where a lot of people come out and they just play the stuff that they're comfortable with and play the stuff that they're good with. And I can't blame them, because, like, you want to get the stuff done as quick as possible, or you want to do it the easiest way possible. But also, it's just... It just makes the game feel so uneven and feel so unbalanced. Like, you know, playing the Sea Harrier, when we were spading it out, the Sea Harrier was very good. When it came to launching missiles and setting up, and generally the way I like to play. What was not very good was sitting there playing every match against exactly the same set of enemies, because of the simple fact that if you don't play those vehicles, it's going to take you, and you're not, let's say, a veteran player or a long veteran player, it's going to take you a long period of time to be able to get all of the score done. And that just sucks. So yeah, like, it makes every game at certain BR brackets feel exactly the same, because everybody just plays the same stuff. And that is no good. You know, that's not something that I want to see. I want to see more variance. I want to see weird vehicles being turned up. It was nice last night that we actually ended up seeing a bunch of SU-22s for no apparent reason. They got annihilated because everybody else was playing meta stuff, but it was still nice to see them. And, you know, that's something that this type of event really limits, unfortunately. And that's not great. What I want them to add is challenges to the event to either reduce the grind or make it so you are in a position where you're able to grind out extra stuff from the event. Some kind of community thing, you know, get this amount of score, you know, be able to get this many destructions, maybe even, like, play different vehicles, whatever it is. Like, just something that isn't just play the game, hit 75k, do that again, and over and over and over again. Break up the monotony of it, just like they did in the event, the robot event with the roly poly, right? Like, they broke it up by having half of them being mission score and half of them being play this specific type of vehicle, do these specific things in them. It worked well, you know. By the way, the bonuses that we were talking about are these ones. So you see how if you get all of the modifications of a line here, then what ends up happening is you will get a bonus amount of 2,200 RP to the thing that you're researching. So the vehicle that you're researching, which for me is the Kent, right? So what people will do before an update comes out is they will play, let's say, a vehicle like the Leander. They will get it so all of these tier bonuses, or the research for these is super close to getting that bonus. So they'll research 4 mods on this and maybe half of a mod of this, and then just do that for each of the rows. So then when the new update comes out, if you play the Leander and you get all the bonuses and you put it towards a new vehicle, in that match you get the RP that you got from playing the Leander. So for example, the 3,200, and then you also get all of these amounts added up. So that's like 10k, so 10,000 RP. So it gives you a bonus towards the new vehicle to grind it out. Like that's basically it. So yeah, that's how people do it, and it's good. It's a nice system. So we have Little Dunk. Damn, the SKR-7 destroying those 1.2 BR to 2-1 ships in the background. Yeah, SKR-7 and SKR-1 are disgusting. They're crazy good, very powerful vehicles. So then we have geometries. Yeah, higher tier you get way more as well, like especially under the line vehicles. Under the line vehicles you get a crazy amount of RP, which comes along with it. Like it's just nuts. Oh, sorry, just have to stretch. So then we have geometries, naval gameplay loop in the future. Battleships killing light cruisers and destroyers, light cruisers, destroyers killing submarines, submarines killing battleships' thoughts. I think it would be fun and possible to balance. No, this isn't World of Warships. The reason why, like you've just described the gameplay loop of World of Warships. The reason why it works in World of Warships is because of very, very ahistorical setups. Like with like the spotting systems, with like the speed of different vehicles, and with also the capabilities and abilities that they have. So that, like, submarines do not nuke battleships. Like in the standard way you think they would when it comes to War Thunder. In World War II, you can find a lot of cruisers and battleships which were hit by submarines that did a lot of damage to them. But it ain't the same as in a video game. Just like how in a video game you can have multiple Prince Eugenies, against each other, or so on and so forth. So it isn't as simple as saying this beats this, which beats this. Because already, if you have a look at a lot of vehicles in the game, there are cruisers which are worse than destroyers. There are heavy cruisers which can deal out a lot more damage than battle cruisers, and so on and so forth. So it really isn't as simple as that. Like if you have a look at like a lot of the Japanese cruisers, they're just crap. Like I don't know how else to put it. Every single one I've played has just felt absolutely horrific to play. But yeah, I mean, it could be done. Will it be done? No, because it's not how it's even done right now. So we have ignoring the event aside from the bomber with the guided missile because of the Phantom Liberty, plus I love Cyberpunk, so I'll take an excuse to our new playthrough. They said that they're working on Cyberpunk 2, didn't they? So that's, I don't know if that means that they're done with Cyberpunk 1. But yeah, they also said they're working on a new Witcher game, didn't they? So looks like these guys are just announcing stuff like many years ahead of when they actually happen. So there was also I saw an article today about CD Projekt Red where a lot of the employees are unionizing because they straight up just let go. I think was it 100 employees or something, like over like a very small period of time, which kind of is a bit nuts when you think about it. I suppose it's down to the fact that the big Cyberpunk update came out, right? And they kind of did what they were supposed to do, and peace be with you. Don't know how game design or game development works in that way. I should probably at some point sit down and chat to a few people about it, just to see what's going on. Witcher 4's been in development for about 7 years. Jesus. I wonder what's classed as development. Like, is that story? Is that, like, actual building stuff? It's kind of interesting to think about. But yeah, it's, I'd have to look more into it, but there seems to be a lot of, like, these large studios where it's kind of like boom or bust for a lot of people. Like, they bring them in to make sure that work gets done, they crunch them to all hell, and then they let them go again. So, like, but yeah. I'm glad that people are having fun with Cyberpunk now. Personally, the game doesn't really interest me that much, but it's always nice to see people having fun. So we have potato clips. From the event, should I get the boat, prop plane, or tank? I'm already past rank 2 in Japan Air, so I'm not sure if I want to get the plane. I don't play naval, so I'm not sure about the boat. The tank has apparently been having issues, so I'm not sure if I should get that. Thanks. I mean, the easy one, or the one that's going to be the most useful to an individual is the F100. Because the F100, you know, it's always going to have the AIM-9Es, the 4 of them. It's always going to be about the same BR as the other ones. It's always going to have, you know, usability in the game, in ground and air, because of its ordnance. Even if it's slightly worse than the F100D or the F100A, it's still always going to have a use. The low sat is not. It's going to be a vehicle which really is going to be lucky to ever fit in an American lineup, because you have to remember American lineups are already insanely stacked, especially around those BRs with old event vehicles. So if you're looking for something that's going to be a grinder, the F100 is going to be way better. The battle cruiser also, if it gets dropped to 5.7, we can start, you know, having a chat about, is it even worth, you know, considering. But the fact it's at the BR that it is means that it isn't even worth considering, unfortunately. So I'll go F100. So we have emergency broadcast system. I'm really into Baldur's Gate 3 currently. Have you tried it yet? No, not yet. I have a list of those types of games, like longer games, that I want to play. But the issue is time. Like, nowadays, due to personal stuff and also work stuff, I actually have a lot less time to play games. Which I know sounds weird because, you know, obviously I still have more time than most. But I really don't have a ton of time to do that stuff. So what I actually prefer right now is, instead of sinking teeth into a big game, I actually prefer playing a bunch of smaller games and then kind of going from there. So that's what we're going to do over the next period. And then if we want to really commit time to stuff like that, that'll be over a special period, because we're going to do that with Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. Like, that idea. And it should be good. So yeah, I would love to play Baldur's Gate. It looks like a game that's right up my alley. But yeah, it's time. Time is of the essence, as always. When I retire from everything, I'll play games like that. But we'll see when that is. Then we have Lewis. Greetings, thy lordship. What is this? No. No, sorry. Not 2 hours in. Is there a point at the top, or? No, sorry. If you want to repost it again, you can do, but just, you know, maybe do it slightly smaller, or maybe break it up a bit. Like, it's like my voice is screwed right now, you know. I always enjoy reading stuff, but yeah, my voice is just nuked, so that just hurt. Right. Hey Giant, nice to see you. Hopefully you're doing alright. Naval's fine, like, it's just chill. Let's see. So we have Harsha Smith again. Do you feel Arabi is too crowded? At the upper tier, 16v16 feels ridiculous. Feels like a rip-off of our arcade, but lasting around 6 minutes. I can't imagine what this is going to be when everyone has advanced Fox 3s. Yeah, I think it's fine. Like the reason why they added it in is so there was more action for people to get involved with, right? So just like how we have in Ground, one of the things that really appeals to a lot of people is quick action and quick stuff going on. And we saw it with what do you even call it? We saw it with Ground that people wanted it faster and faster and faster and faster. Well, in aviation, you now have it, and the way that they're trying to address it is to make the maps bigger. But as we all know from War Thunder players, is they prefer the game changing instead of them changing their playstyle and how it all works, right? So I don't think they'll maneuver anything around like that right now. I think if it gets to a point where people are just spawning and just firing missiles off, like they were in arcade, they'll just move back all the spawns. But yeah, the thing that I've seen more recently is top tier is a young man's game. I don't know how else to put it. It's not for people who are older or are, you know, want a little bit of a slower deal of things. So it's usually gonna just keep getting faster and faster and faster and faster as the game goes on. And I don't think that'll change. I know people have been advocating for smaller games, but that just kind of increases imbalance in the games, because then you have a less amount of factors that are actually in the game. So this actually means that if there's less people sat around the place, then each individual person has more say in what goes on, and because of the imbalance between a lot of nations, you would just have stomps one way or the other. Wouldn't be very fun. I can't hit this guy. It's weird. There we go. But yeah, if it becomes a huge issue, then I'm sure they'll change it. What I would say is, if people want to do the 6v6 stuff, get involved in the tournament stuff. There's a bunch of tournament stuff which is like that, or even smaller. So you can see or help feel what the difference is between them. So then we have, as I was typing, you should play Battle Stations Midway. You say I never played Battle Stations Midway. I mean, we can do. Like, a lot of people have brought it up. I think I even have it. I just never played it. I like it. It seems like the game would very much appeal to me. Like, I like games like that. So, yeah, we can give it a go. Like, would be nice to do. I'll put it on the list. The ever engrossing list of games to play. So we have Max. How can I see when I first started the game? I started before China and Italy were added, but I don't remember more details. Is there a way for me to see it in game? I don't have Steam, so if that's going to work. So the way that you look at it is you go to the War Thunder website. You go to... what tab is it? Hey Meeks, nice to see you. Sunday's going well, we're just in the tech talk. You go to Community, which is one of the top parts of it, right? It's one of the search things at the top. And then you go to Search Players. And then after you click on that, you can enter a name or ID, so I can put in my own, right? And then you search, and then if you click on the name, which is, you know, your name in the game, it'll actually tell you when you first created the account. So for example, for me, it says European Canadian, TEC ES, level 100, registration date 10th of the 7th, 2013. Right? So, yeah, that's how you basically do it. That's how you can see how old your account is. Technically, you could like search through your email if you wanted to, or do anything like that, but yeah. It's usually the best thing to do. What, multi-grade? I mean, okay, we can have a look at that. But yeah, so my account is older than 10 years, which is just nuts to think about. But then again, it's nuts to think about how old I am now. Multi-grade at PSN. Registration date was 22nd of the 6th, 2014. So 22nd of June, 2014. God damn. The PlayStation version was around back then? It's crazy. So yeah, that's how you do it. Next one. Benjamin Squad. You just know how to spam videos every 4 hours and talk nonsense in them. Yeah, sometimes, but not every 4 hours. I pretty much nowadays do like 2 or 3 videos a day. But most of the stuff I talk about, I feel like isn't nonsense. Sometimes it is, because a lot of when it comes to the game, there is sometimes a lot of nonsense in it. But yeah, it's just how it is. Like, it can be kind of annoying, like, looking at a change log or looking at a pass to the developers and then reading through it and realizing there's a bunch of spelling mistakes or there's a bunch of things that has been written that makes no sense. So, yeah. But nah, it's not all nonsense, just some of it. So then we have Monet. Glory to the CCP, my dear the European Chinese. I wanted to ask you, what is the point of Gaijin spending money to create new Cold War aircraft carrier 3 years ago? Just for them to not be used on a single map. Father, I crave to use the Super Chat on Dad on things it was designed for. Well, they used in test flights, or test things. I honestly think the reason why they commissioned those things was because there were so many fucking people who asked for them to be added to the game, and I never understood why. Because, like, they were never going to be used. Technically, they're used in Sim, right? Like, they added them to Sim, but yeah, it was so weird. The other thing, of course, is because they were thinking of adding carriers to the naval forces of the game, which they still might, going forward. But it might also be they commissioned to build them and to get them done, just like they did with the World War II ones. And then the carriers got released in World of Warships, and they monitored what was going on in those, and they went, oh, yeah, maybe not. Because that's something that also has to be mentioned. So, the devs are just like everybody else. Like, they don't just focus on the thing that they're doing, they take inspiration from other stuff. So, for example, I know for a fact that when Microsoft Flight Sim, the newer one came out, like, some of the ideas from that, especially when it came to the world building and the way that the weather worked and the cloud worked and all of those things, they were stuff which, some of the guys who were involved in those decisions, they looked at and went, huh, maybe we could do that, Like, maybe we could get that done. So they did, right? And that's why we have, like, the whole new cloud system. That's why we have all of these different ideas and areas which are there too when it comes to weather effects. So it really, what happens is you get certain, people who take inspiration from different stuff and then kind of put it together in one. And that's not a bad thing. That's kind of just how all of this stuff works, right? Like, art works like that, creation works like that. Everybody looks at their competition and goes, so they're trying to do it this way. Can we try and, like, outmatch them? Can we try and, like, push forward with them? And, carriers could have been like that. Or maybe, how, like, in naval, like, when they first introduced naval, there wasn't ever going to even be big ship. There wasn't even going to be destroyers. It was just going to be coastal stuff. And then when they saw, everybody talking about how, oh, well, we wanted bigger ships. Well, they started working on bigger ships then. You know, they listened to the community and they started building these things. It's just the same idea, you know. So they could have been made for a specific purpose, but then after either testing that specific purpose or seeing it happen in other areas, they were like, well, that's no good. Or maybe it's just not ready to go yet. You know, like the mechanics they want to add in. Or maybe they were making them for another game like War Thunder Mobile. And then they, you know, why not, you know, why not double dip? Like, for example, in Enlisted uses the World War II carriers that were updated in War Thunder. Opinion on the Tornado F3? I have no opinion, I've never played it. So yeah, it's just, it could literally just be that. Like, it was made for a specific reason, that specific reason didn't happen, and they moved on to something else. Or maybe that specific reason hasn't happened yet, because it'll happen in the future. Have I played Gaijin's older games? I mean, I've played their Sims, yeah, like Wings of Prey and Birds of Prey, stuff like that. I haven't played a ton of the older games, like the Mafia games or anything like that. Wasn't hugely... Well, it's just impossible to get them in my area, basically. I played the predecessor to what War Thunder is. Before the mouse controls existed. Yeah, they had the heli game that I can't remember the name of. They also have like several games which are being made technically off of War Thunder. Like there's a VR PlayStation game that's coming out that's going to be a paid kind of version of War Thunder, where you get access to a specific amount of vehicles, but you get them all for free in a VR experience. There's also obviously Enlisted and War Thunder Mobile. They all work together in that setup. So we have the bastard sunglasses. Interesting. Hi Tech. Do you think it's possible for Gaijin War Thunder to add a door gunner for most chopper gunners? If so, I'd like you thought about it in a new game mode like Breakthrough, similar to Enlisted. Yeah, they can add door gunners. I don't see why not. They could even make it when they get knocked unconscious, they just fall out the plane or fall out the helicopter. But yeah, they could do that. I don't see why not. AMBT, nice to see you. It's going well today. We're just chilling at the end of the event. I would personally say that Breakthrough would not work in War Thunder because there is a fundamental difference between the speed of Enlisted and also the speed of War Thunder and the respawns. So it would just... Game modes that work in Enlisted do not work in War Thunder because of just the speed of everything moving around. So yeah, it wouldn't really be grand to do. I got a skin. Unicolor. You are in fact brown. But yeah, so it's something that doesn't really work too well in the grand scheme of things. So they also tried one in the past. It didn't work. Just like all the other modes. They usually try them once in a while and they just don't work. So yeah. That is the end of the questions, by the way. So that's the last one from the Tech Talk. So if you guys have any questions, obviously hit them up. So we can get them all in. I honestly think, by the way, this is like my last missile. So this might also be the end of the event too, which would be nice. How long have you been able to change the flags on the boats? Since last major update. They added it in. Alright, let's see. Okay, it's fired. Everything looks good. It responds. Oh, this might be the 18th missile. I might be done. Might be finished. God damn. What an absolute crazy time. I missed. What do you think about more large-scale ground battles with more people, bigger maps? Tested it ages ago with sets of people. It didn't work because people don't like just driving for 5, 10, 15 minutes straight and not going anywhere, especially when planes exist. And also at the same time, one of the major issues is once people get the initial advantage on something, they just dig in positions and then you die and get spawn camped. As I said, we tested it. It just doesn't work. So, and with the mechanics getting more crazier every year, it would just get worse every year. So, all right, there we go. 6 test reports. So we're gonna get the F100F. There you go. And you can actually get 2 of the same one. So just to show that you can. I'll get the low set as well. There you go. So that's the event officially done. Consume. Oh, they give you backups to it as well. Wow, 20 backups for free? You saved 1100G. Did you know that? I saved money? Nice! That's so kind. When does the event finish? The grinding for the event finishes today. That's basically how it goes. So yeah. Thanks for the free backups, guys. I've saved so much. You know? It's really kind. When do you think World War Mode will come back? What? When do I think World War Mode will come back? I think it will be back next January. Next January would make the most sense for World War Mode to come back. If it comes back. I hope they fundamentally change it, so it's more of a PvE thing than a PvP thing, or they let people actually, you know, they actually let people practice it and run it like that, but c'est la vie, they haven't in the past. Alright, that's the Tech Talk done. Look after yourselves as always. I'll see you next week. Make sure to leave the comments in the video comments so we can go through them. Bye bye.